I wanted to do something creative.
I was running after some idea of happiness that wasn't my own.
In such a small time, he completely killed it.
He only cared for money. It was a business before it was a partnership. He never cared for his well-being. But is this the truth about Avicii's management story? Avicii's main manager was Ash Pournouri. The initial deal was simple. Sign with Ash and he'll make Avicii the biggest Swedish DJ in 1 year. Ash would fulfill this promise, but as they reached the one goal and the money flowed hard and heavy, the next goal between the two is one they won't see eye to eye on. Ash would soon become this story's villain, rumored to have mismanaged and misused this young boy's talent as a means to his own ends. But is that the truth of the matter? What really went wrong with Avicii's meteoric rise to stardom with his management? It began in 2008, when the Swedish club promoter Ash first discovered 18-year-old Tim Bergling, who was at the time uploading remixes online under the alias Avicii Feelgood. So Ash sends Avicii a Facebook message, they meet. Ash would promise to make him one of the biggest DJs in the world. So after a short discussion with Tim's parents, Tim signs on. Between 2009 and 2011, it was non-stop work for the two. Ash would have a hand in everything: musical guidance, bookings, and branding. Tim's childhood friend said every drop of an idea would go to Ash.
Varje gång vi hade en idé, bara ett dropp eller en idé, direkt till Ash.
They were sending 5 emails a day to him and calling him multiple times. Ash guided Tim on how to get the crowds going, give them breaks, how to run a long set. Avicii's first major hit, Seek Bromance, opened European charts in 2010. Ash would soon hear and give advice on levels in its beginning stages. Ash was perfect in the beginning stages. For example, Virgin EMI Records saw the hype before the initial release on levels and wanted a deal. So Ash bluffed them, stating that there was a deal on the table for $500,000 with another label, but if they matched it, he would agree to go with them. At the time, for a then unknown DJ, it was incredible when they agreed.
Okay, thank you very much everyone, and see you on email.
Right, speak soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Cheers, bye.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.
By 2011, Avicii was performing more than 200 shows a year. Forbes estimated earnings of $7 million that year. But Tim, aged 22 then, was anxious and physically fragile. In the Netflix documentary I'm Tim, Tim said Ash was killing it, killing himself, the same way I was killing myself. According to medical notes cited in Macesson's biography, before signing on with Ash back in 2011, Tim as a teen was paranoid about his health. He felt something was wrong inside and would undergo repeated tests. Fast forward to March 2012, during the Miami Winter Music Conference, he was hospitalized with acute pancreatitis, attributed to heavy drinking and fatigue. Doctors warned him to stop drinking and to rest, and prescribed him painkillers for the stomach pain. Touring would resume weeks later. As far as the initial agreement was concerned between Ash and Tim, which was to become well known, in the documentary Tim said he delivered. But at this point he felt empty and unhappy, potentially feeling disconnected from his work after the hundreds of sets he had already played. Ash would continue to push the envelope for his client. In March 2013 at the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, Ash helped stage a high-risk debut for Avicii's new album, unveiling new songs via a live band project. What was an initial disaster reception soon turned around completely. Ash did have a hand in this, so he took all the negative feedback people wrote about this event online, associated it with the set and posted it all on SoundCloud saying here it is. The story would get so big, they would land an article in the New York Post. Ash would tell Avicii, no one in Sweden knows how big this is. going on to say that news in the US only gets bigger and bigger. 3 months later, the single Wake Me Up topped charts in 16 countries and became the fastest selling single in the UK at that time, moving over 267,000 copies in its first week. Ash's gamble has worked. Avicii was now recognized as a global artist rather than just some unknown DJ. By 2014, Avicii was said to have earned over $28 million, ranking third on Forbes' highest paid DJ list. But the schedule remained relentless for Tim, over 250 gigs a year. In March 2014, he had severe stomach pain again and underwent appendix and gallbladder removal, cancelling shows but returning to touring weeks later. He re-entered hospital multiple times for pain management and kept on with the painkillers. Ash continued his focus on expanding his label PRMD Music, and with joint projects such as House for Hunger, a philanthropic venture by Ash and Avicii, which donated $1 million to Feeding America in 2012. Ash managed tours and hundreds of shows every year, and took care of every negotiation regarding payment and sponsorships that were worth millions. Tim, meanwhile, grew isolated, writing in his notes that success only amplified the emptiness. So while his net worth was going up, Tim's happiness was going down. Ash, in his mind, was securing their futures. In August 2015, Avicii released his second album, Stories. The partnership's tension would peak over touring. Tim was losing interest in the money and in house/EDM music in general. Tim expressed in the recent documentary that beyond paying for taxis, rent and food, essentially his freedom, the happiness money began to give, as he got more of it, was incremental. At this point, the dynamic was this: Tim wanted recovery and change, whilst Ash feared momentum loss. Tim got to the point where he was getting so much pushback for attempting to cancel gigs for his well-being that things for him now reached a boiling point. Ash would hold the position that there are challenges that come with this work, this scene, all this they have, and that Tim wasn't fully grasping the value of this money, stating that it was only because he was relevant that they had anything to argue over. By 2015, Tim's dad Klaus and Ash would hold an intervention in LA with the underlying but constant opioid painkiller usage. Tim was super frustrated at the scene but eventually agreed to get help. Tim in general was frustrated with the things he was told by Ash he had to do, even if he did not want to do it. Tim was annoyed that with many things, he was kept out of the loop, uninformed of proceedings or important decisions with his schedule. Tim had to reclaim his autonomy, and so on March 29, 2016, Avicii announced his retirement from touring at age 26, citing health exhaustion as the reason. This had a good reception by fans, but as for management, by mid-year, Tim formally ended management ties with Ash Pournouri. Ash, having guided Avicii from clubs to arenas, stepped away from his management entirely. In his 2017 documentary True Stories, he said that he can't see a way he can keep doing this and be happy. A fact that fellow DJ Steve Aoki mentioned on the podcast as well, saying you could just tell he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, he just, like, every time I saw him, he didn't want to be on stage, you know? I mean, the anxiety, you just can feel it on him.
So, Tim's focus now shifted towards recovery. After the split, Tim moved to Los Angeles, then traveled to Madagascar and Africa in search of balance. In the 2017 doc, he said he needed to recover from all the years of touring and all the stress. Freedom brought him calm, but wasn't a cure. He continued to battle with the opioid usage even after the touring. He worked for too hard for too long and developed bad habits in the end, such as that. As far as Ash and Tim go, the pair would eventually meet up and have a night out together, talking for hours on end. This was only mentioned in Macesson's biography and lightly touched on in the latest documentary. Tim, while focusing on his health, practiced transcendental meditation and wrote that he wanted to be content rather than successful at this point. Despite repeated therapy and wellness retreats, he still told friends he felt something broken in him. In notes collected later, Tim admitted he missed the guidance Ash provided. His new management divided time among several artists, leaving him adrift. After all, Ash had a hand in each song and set from the beginning and for years as time went on. Ash found him as a teen and helped him develop into an international DJ in such a fast-paced scene. In 2017, Tim began recording a new album, later released after his death, called Tim. His label would give him advice, criteria, or tips, for example, that he should capture the attention of his listeners within 5 seconds. This impacting on his creative freedom bothered him, to put it nicely. Regardless, sessions for Fade Away and SOS showed renewed creativity. Collaborators described him as generally happier and focused. He texted that it was the first time in 5 years it's felt fun again. However, there was general concern in relation to the lyrics of his songs. Aloe remembered his concern in relation to SOS, and another friend showed concern for the song Ain't a Thing. The lyrics go, "When the record's on the final song, and the parties will be long, long gone, all the pretenders and the hangers on can go find themselves another one." No evidence indicated gross mismanagement in his final years. After Tim passed on, Ash publicly mourned him as a brother, saying, "We created magic together and I'll miss him forever." In retrospect, the pattern was constant. Even after freedom from contracts, the restlessness remained. Ash's management built the platform for success, and in time he delivered on his promise. Tim's spirit would evolve and want different things as he grew used to the taste of success. So in this story, Tim ended up reclaiming his schedule from touring and put a real effort into relaxation and healing before his final years. So in the end, Avicii's management story is not about a manager who ruined an artist, but rather shifting interests over the years that weren't properly addressed sooner.